Hello, my name's Ben,
And my name's Josh.
and welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to our final team reveals of the season. It is already game week 38. It's fast approaching us. We can't believe how quickly this season has gone. Let's get in for the final time this season into Josh's team.
Okay, then, yeah, so Game Week 38 is here. We're currently recording this just before the second games of that double Game Week 37. So the ranks are still our pre Game Week 37 ranks, just for clarification. Yeah, we'll see how things go in those last few games because they could be big and telling into what our decisions might be going into Game Week 38. So yeah, in my defence at the moment, we've got Petrovic in goal, Bournemouth at home, Chelsea defensively not been too bad recently. I prefer him over Onana, I think, in that Brighton fixture. Again, the home fixture sort of wins that for me. So he's in there, and obviously Chelsea defence is going to be relatively high owned due to that double game week the week prior. So just sort of playing off the ownership there. I've then got a double up in defence of the Spurs defenders with Van der Ven and Porro. Sheffield United away. It'll be interesting to see what happens, obviously, in that top four battle. But I expect both of them to play just because the sheer amount of injuries in Spurs' defence. They can't really rotate for the last game of the season. Obviously, both of them picked up a goal in Game Week 37, which was lovely jubbly. We'll wait and see how it goes, but I expect them to potentially keep a clean sheet at Sheffield United, despite Sheffield United improving going forwards in recent weeks. And then the final defender is obviously that Arsenal bit of coverage is Gabriel. Obviously, I don't expect that to be enough. I do expect Arsenal's defence to be over 100% effectively owned, but it does cover me a little bit, so it's not as bad as not owning any Arsenal defenders. What's your thoughts on that defence, Ben?
Yeah, the only missing piece really is the double up in Arsenal rather than Spurs. And of course, if Spurs have nothing to play for, then there's a temptation there to move one of those guys on. I do see the potential of clean sheets really across the board there. There's that possibility, and yeah, good attacking potential in two of that out of those three defenders. Yes, Van der Ven did get a goal last week, but that is pretty out of the ordinary. So yeah, all in all, fairly solid defence. Yeah, there's always that missing sort of Arsenal defender to get in. But if you're going that way, you have to just take that risk and hope that Spurs keep that clean sheet.
Okay, then, so moving on into my midfield, it remains the same as what it has done for the last 3 or 4 weeks, to be honest. We've got Cole Palmer against Bournemouth at home. Potentially could be my captain this week if I want to play it a bit more risky. Obviously, it depends what my rank looks like towards the end of this double game week 37. But at the moment, we're sat around 4.5k in the world with my whole team still to play. So depending on how close I am to outside that top 1k is how many risks I want to take, basically. Obviously, Haaland will be highly captained. It's just a case of whether I want to go against that. And I think at the moment, at this present current time, Palmer's probably my second favourite captaincy option this week. He does really well at home, obviously on the penalties. Bournemouth don't have anything to play for. Chelsea do with those European places at stake. So yeah, I quite like that as a potential captaincy route. The other midfielders, Kevin De Bruyne, the swing between him and Gavardio has really hurt me in the last few weeks. So I'm hoping maybe this last game week he can do something for me. Saying that, he has been returning in those weeks, just not as much as Gavardio picking up braces every single week. So yeah, a good option. And again, a nice differential if you maybe want a midfield option against this West Ham team who, let's face it, have nothing to play for at the moment. Heung-min Son's up next, Sheffield United away. He'll probably be playing down the middle, we expect, due to the injury to Richarlison. I do prefer him when he plays out on the left, but it's against Sheffield United, and I'll be happy with any attackers against that defence. And then Phil Foden finalises the midfield. Really nice option. Again, if you wanted to go a little bit different, you could go for him, or maybe De Bruyne if you own him, as a captaincy shout against Haaland if you're trying to chase the rank. For me, he's been fantastic all season, and I expect him to be really, really highly priced next season, looking at maybe 10 million for Phil Foden. What's your thoughts on that midfield, Ben?
Yeah, a decent midfield. Obviously, you've been stung by Gvardiol, but in theory, the Manchester City triple up and attack, statistically speaking, was a good move to go for. But yeah, all in all, the midfield is fairly standard, fairly template. Obviously, that one differential in there realistically, and potentially the second if you captained Palmer. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I think Son, he hasn't been great in recent weeks, but playing up top against a defence that bad is always sort of something to consider. So yeah, all in all, fairly decent.
And then to finalise the team, it's the forward line. Obviously, I mentioned Erling Haaland. for me, I'll be surprised if I do captain him this week. I'm going to have a really, really good end of game week 37 for him to do that with like Rasmus Højlund hauling against Newcastle, which I don't see happening, to be honest. So yeah, I'll probably be going rogue on the captaincy, I think, this week. But equally, if you are happy with your rank, don't be fearful of captaining Haaland. He's definitely a really, really good option this week. Isaac's up next. Obviously, it's a bit touch and go in terms of his fitness at the moment. Apparently, he was ill. We don't know if he's played against Manchester United, obviously, because we're recording before that. So yeah, I'll sort of play by ear on him. My transfer this week will probably be for a forward, whether that be Isak or Højlund, who I have removed in this scenario and brought in Cody Gakpo. I just really like how he's playing at the moment. He looks in form, sort of playing down the middle, looking a lot better than what he has throughout his whole probably Liverpool career. And obviously picked up that haul against Spurs, return against Aston Villa, Wolves at home. Narrative building of Klopp's last game, how many goals they're going to score. It'll be an interesting one, but yeah, at the moment, in terms of my team structure and who I can bring in, I think Cody Gakpo is sort of winning that race at the moment at the time of recording. So yeah, Ben, what's your thoughts on that front three?
Yeah, I think it's a decent front three, and obviously it's going to be dependent on whether Isaac is fit and well. To be honest, I think he's going to be. It sounds like a bit of an illness rather than an injury. So I anticipate him starting. Gakpo, Klopp's last game, the narrative is there. He's looked decent over the last couple of weeks as well, as sort of Liverpool's almost like focal point. He's pushed Darwin Nunez really out of the team with his performances. Maybe it's down to Darwin not playing so well, but yeah, it's one of those two. And Haaland, I think it's a very big risk to go against him for the captaincy. I think he's going to be 180% EO, something like that, and it's going to be crazy to go against him because the title's going down to the final day anyway. So I think Manchester City will go all guns blazing. They've got nothing to lose with that, and I think they'll probably absolutely, pardon the pun, hammer West Ham on the final day. Petrovic, Bournemouth at home. I think it's a decent fixture. Again, Chelsea may not keep that clean sheet. They haven't kept many, but they've just been scoring loads. So I don't mind that in goal. He's going to be, like Josh said, high EO. Gvardiol in defence, who's been fantastic for me. He's pushed me so high up in the rankings compared to where I was. The last 3 game weeks, I think my game week ranks so far have been 30k, 100k, 100k. So that's really pushed me up over the last 3 weeks, in particular with his hauls. Probably the best transfer in I've ever made in FPL. The transfer that I'm looking to do here, I've transferred out Pedro Porro, or looking to transfer out Pedro Porro, in anticipation that Spurs will have nothing to play for. If they do have something to play for, that might change, but at the moment it'll be Ben White in for Pedro Porro. So yeah, him in, a double up on the Arsenal defence to keep things safe and secure, hopefully with the rankings, and maybe a little bit differential to own a couple. Although I do suspect the EO of the Arsenal defence is going to be over 100%. Josh, what's your thoughts on the defence?
Yeah, really nice. Obviously, you got that Arsenal double up, which, to be fair, I'm not sure many managers will have because of that bench boost in Game Week 37. I don't think a lot of managers had 2, so they'd probably have to make that transfer like you're doing this week to get that double up in defence. Obviously, Gavardio, unreal pick at the moment. Probably one of the best ones to bring in if you're looking at a defender. So yeah, really nice defence set up there.
Okay, and moving on into the midfield. And as you can see, it's a 5-man midfield. By the deadline, this is probably going to be a 4-man midfield. And also by the deadline, 2 of these players are probably going to not be in the starting 11. So we'll go into it. Bruno Fernandes is currently in there. I anticipate taking a -4 to transfer him out and transfer in Kai Havertz. I think Havertz is going to be a fairly template pick for this game week. And to keep things safe, again, I'm happy to bring him in on a -4. It just depends again as well. If Bruno's back and firing in that second game of the double game week, it makes my decision a little bit more difficult. But for now, that's probably what I'm going to do. It's likely that I'm going to take that -4. To continue in the midfield, Phil Foden is in there as well. Again, I think Manchester City are going to run riot against West Ham. So I imagine, he's even a potential candidate for the captaincy if you were going to go rogue. The similar can be said for Cole Palmer, as Josh has been sort of reiterating. Yeah, he could be a really good option for captaincy. He's going to be 100% EO regardless. So it's one of those that, everyone's going to have in their team. Son, Sheffield United away is a decent fixture. Let's hope that he picks up the form. And Gordon will potentially be on the bench come the deadline. I really like Nicholas Jackson at home to Bournemouth, who's currently on my bench. So it's likely that I'm going to bring him in for Gordon instead. Josh, what are the thoughts on the midfield that will probably change quite a bit?
Yeah, I like the Kai Havertz pick. Whether it's worth a -4 though is obviously in the air because I expect Bruno Fernandes to play against Brighton. United have the FA Cup after Brighton, so having some momentum going into that final, I think is going to be crucial for them. And obviously they've potentially got a European place to play for as well. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say if it was over a longer period of time, I'd be more with it. But because it's that one game week of that -4, you're gonna have to have Havertz outscore him by at least one attack and return. So it'll be interesting to see if he can manage to do that. Anthony Gordon versus Jackson, I think is a little bit closer than maybe what you think. Obviously, Bournemouth at home's a nice fixture, but Newcastle equally have stuff to play for. Gordon could be also playing down the middle, depending on those injury updates on Isak as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, overall, really nice midfield.
Yeah, and moving on to up top, and we have got Erling Haaland and Alexander Isak currently. And, this could, again, it could change. If we get a negative sort of bit of information about Isak, he could easily drop to the bench and Gordon could come in. There's a bit of flexibility here, as there always is with Gameweek 38, particularly this year because of the bench boosting and everyone doing that so late on. And quickly touching on that bench as well, as we spoke about, Jackson is on that bench. I'm really tempted to start him this week. I think he probably will for my team. I do really like that fixture for Chelsea with something to play for as well. Onana on there. I don't think United are keeping a clean sheet with the three defenders that they have. Van der Ven also on the bench with Dan Burn. A couple of different transfer options, like I said. Ben White in for Porro, but that could easily be Van der Ven to someone like Saliba if there isn't a price rise, which could be more tempting if I was going to go for a 4 at the back and keep Porro. So there's definitely a few options open there. Josh, thoughts on the overall team and the potential transfer plans there?
Yeah, I really like the team overall, especially that defense. Defense is probably like if you could pick a free hit this week, I'd probably have something similar to that. Definitely the three defenders at least. So yeah, really nice. Obviously, those transfers will be interesting if you want to take the risk. Obviously, taking a hit this week with Kai Havertz. Obviously, he's going to be a really good asset for this game week. It's just whether he can outscore Bruno Fernandes. So yeah, good luck, mate. Okay, so that wraps up our final team reveal of the season. It's been a whirlwind of a season. Obviously, we'll probably do a final video of our sort of season review, I guess you could say, after Game Week 38 to go through how our seasons have been. But yeah, my aim this week is hopefully to get in that top 1K. But overall, it's been a fantastic season anyway. What's your aims, Ben?
Yeah, well, I'm. It's sort of weird because I've been absolutely flying at this tail end of the season. At the moment, as of recording, I'm ranked 60k in the world, and that was probably about 400k about 5-6 weeks ago. So maybe top 50k, maybe top 40k. We'll see how the rest of the games in Game Week 37 go, and then we'll reassess from there. Okay, so remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the FPL Graduates. And as always, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
We'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.
You may rise, but you'll never make me wanna stick around you.